As many of you already know, Cornel West is officially running for President of the United States of America, and he's running as a third party candidate as part of the People's Party. Now, upon his announcement, which he released by way of a video on Twitter, a video that I'll play at the end of this discussion if you haven't seen it yet, a lot of people online were upset. To be specific, a lot of Biden supporters were highly upset. And they were upset because they feel that Cornel West is simply a spoiler and that all his campaign is going to do is take away votes from Joe Biden. Now, you have to understand, Cornel West is the progressive that Bernie Sanders pretends to be. So the fear is that what Cornel West will inevitably end up doing is not just simply taking votes overall from Biden, but because progressive ideals tend to resonate well with young voters between the ages of 18 to 24 and 24 to 35, the fear is that he's going to take the lion's share of young voters away from Joe Biden. And that will inevitably end up translating into Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis becoming president of the United States. And that's why many Biden supporters are furious right now because they understand that Biden can't hold a candle to Cornel West if we're talking about young voters because of his progressive ideals. Now, on another note, I don't mean to question Cornel West's sincerity behind running for president because he's given me no reason to question it as far as his own actions are concerned. But at the same time, I do wonder and question whether or not Cornel West was sent out to run for president simply for the purposes of being a spoiler. Because Cornel West now becomes a very convenient excuse for why Biden lost. And it's a little too convenient for my liking. Because if Biden does lose, instead of a greater conversation happening around the Democratic Party's failure, and depending on how the Black voter turnout is, the failure to capture the quote hearts and minds of the Black community, instead of that conversation happening, the conversation will instead conveniently pivot to Cornel West being a spoiler. The conversation will pivot to how third party candidates and independents are bad and evil and how they don't contribute anything to the political process other than to be a spoiler. And last but certainly not least, the blame Black men talking points will appear to be on steroids. If you thought the blame Black men talking points were bad now, if Biden loses because of Cornel West, brothers, I am here to tell you, you haven't seen or heard anything yet. And that's why there is a part of me that slightly questions his announcement, because it's just way too convenient of an excuse for Biden and the Democrats if Biden does indeed lose. They're not going to address any of the real reasons that they lost. They will simply lay all of the blame at the feet of Cornel West. Now, as for me, I personally do like Cornel West. I always have. So I'm not going to completely rule him out as far as his sincerity is concerned, but I do wonder. I do.
In these bleak times, I have decided to run for truth and justice, which takes the form of running for President of the United States as a candidate for the People's Party. I enter into quest for truth. I enter into quest for justice. And the presidency is just one vehicle to pursue that truth and justice, what I've been trying to do all of my life. I come from a tradition where I care about you. I care about the quality of your life. I care about whether you have access to a job with a living wage, decent housing, women having control over their bodies, health care for all, de-escalating the destruction of the planet, the destruction of American democracy. Democracy creates disruption. It creates an eruption. It creates an interruption. Wide from below, the energies of everyday people is manifest. And I know there are precious people in your life who you care for. That's why it's important for you to be involved, important for you to participate. We're not talking about hating anybody. We're talking about loving. We're talking about affirming. We're talking about empowering those who have been pushed to the margins. Because neither political party wants to tell the truth. about Wall Street, about Ukraine, about the Pentagon, about big tech. Neo-fascists like Brother Trump or milquetoast neoliberals like Brother Biden. Wow, well, I'm so happy to make a world-shaking decision. You know what I mean? Well, I know gangsters when I see them. And gangster's not a subjective expression. It's an objective condition. Do we have what it takes? We shall see. But some of us are going to go down fighting, go down swinging with style and a smile, accenting the best in you and trying to tease out the best in me. Let's do it together.